Hey guys, can't really talk very well today, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot, but we do have a new LR4 that just came in for an engine rebuild. We got this one down in Nashville, just got it back yesterday. It's going to be a little while before we can really start on this one, but today I'm just going to kind of go through things and do an initial diagnosis. So let's jump out here and look at it real quick. So first things first, the shop is full, so I just pulled it under the lean-to out here so that we can look at stuff as we get started. But this one is a 2016 LR4 with a supercharged 3-liter in it. This one has 64,000 miles. I am almost 99% sure that it has been overheated. Everything in it really looks like it's in pretty good shape, except for obviously that the engine is not running. There is one other issue with it. The sunroof, well, not the sunroof's fine, but the back glass panoramic roof is cracked all over the place. So if we can get this one going and make everything work on it, we might try and find a scrapyard piece of glass off this, because these are like $2,000. It's honestly possible to total these things with a cracked roof because it's so expensive to get this job done. But what I might try and do is find a pull-off piece of glass from an LR3 or LR4 in the scrapyard and put that in. This was a Southern car, Mississippi and Nashville, so you can see the headliner is starting to come loose in a couple spots. So if we do that glass, we'll probably redo the headliner in this one, because the headliner needs to come out to do it anyway, which is part of why this is such an expensive job. But otherwise it's in really good shape. This one is not an HD pack. We looked for one, but the handful of them that we did find were all more expensive than what we wanted for a project that is going to end up as a part out truck if we can't get stuff fixed. So we'll go ahead and jump up here in the engine bay. Okay, so I just threw the battery charger on it because the battery is just about dead, but supercharged 3-liter. There's supercharger on the top of it, and there's not a whole lot of access here without taking that off, but I'm just going to see if we can kind of poke around and see if we can get an idea of what the problem is real quick. Sorry guys, my voice was about shot because I was getting sick at the time I recorded that, but I really needed to get it recorded so that I could kind of go through that truck, check things out, and know what we were getting into, and then get it off the trailer, out of the shop and parked. And my voice still isn't 100%, if you can tell. So there are 3 things that kill these engines. You either run them without oil, you run them without water, or the timing chains fail. So the most common failure I would say on the 10 to 13s was definitely the timing chains. That's exasperated if you're using the wrong oil, but it was because of a timing chain design problem. Not a timing chain design problem, it was because of the timing chain tensioner problem. They updated that. Some model 2012s had it, most model year 2013s had it. By 2014, that problem was pretty much taken care of, as long as you used the right spec oil and you did your oil changes every 5,000 or 7,500 miles. So this engine being 64,000 miles, even if this thing has never had an oil change, it shouldn't have a timing problem. That would be like, that would really surprise me. So the next most common thing would be that it's been run without water. That was really common on these trucks, because what would happen is that front crossover pipe would crack or fail at the bottom of it where it goes into the block. You would lose coolant, and every time that I've seen it happen, you get a warning, low coolant. You're like, okay, and you fill it up, and you do that a couple times, and then after a couple weeks of it leaking, it finally fails completely, blows all the water out of it. You get a warning on your dash that says low coolant. You think, I got to get that when I get home, but you're about 30 seconds away from destroying your engine. That's probably what happened to this one, because it has that aluminum front crossover pipe, and I don't think the LR4s ever got those from the factory. I think this one had the plastic front crossover pipe. It failed, and they've replaced that trying to fix the problem, and then after they replaced that front crossover pipe, they realized there was a bigger problem. And then the third thing that'll do it is oil starvation. Usually on these engines, that's because of an oil leak. I don't know anybody that's had an oil pump failure that was an actual oil pump failure. And we talked about that a little bit with my truck. The
oil starvation issue is usually that the oil has leaked out. That was a bigger problem with the earlier trucks that had the old style vacuum pump, because that vacuum pump developed leaks really easily for some reason. If you are leaking oil out of that, it's really easy for you to lose half the oil in your oil pan down to that vacuum pump fairly quickly. If you're doing 15,000 mile oil changes and you're burning a little bit of oil, or you're losing a little bit of oil in other places, you know, at 10,000 miles, you might be to the bare minimum, and then you run out of oil. It's got no oil to it. You run it for just a few seconds where you really get on it and it can't get oil to drain back down into the oil sump in time. Then you lose oil pressure, and usually that hits your cams and your camshaft journals and the heads first. Again, I don't think that's what's wrong with this engine, but as I was getting into it, I became less sure every time I was looking at something. So we'll go ahead and go back to a couple weeks ago when I was checking it out.
Okay guys, so we've got it off the trailer now. I got a few things out of the way here just to kind of look at it, but we're actually still at 20 psi on this pressure test. So I was really expecting to find a coolant leak here. Maybe this has already been replaced. I know these used to be plastic. I think by 2016 they had upgraded these to aluminum, but it's possible that they actually had a leak. They replaced the stuff and then found out the motor was seized or something, but I'm gonna keep kind of digging in here. Okay, good. We do have oil in it. So let's just see if it turns over here real quick. So it will turn over, but it's taken a lot to get it to turn. So I'm not going to force anything right now because I don't really know what I'm dealing with. Probably not going to try and turn it any until I've got the heads off, or until I see what the obvious problem is. Thinking what's probably happened here is that our pistons are probably seized inside the sleeves, and I don't want to cause more damage than I already have, or than I was already done to it. And I'm going to want to get the flex plate off of this, so if I'm only going to get one rotation out of the engine, I want to get that rotation as I'm taking stuff apart, so that I can get the engine separated from the transmission easier. But I'm guessing this probably is going to be either bored or re-sleeved. Hopefully we've not done anything too bad to the crankshaft. The timing chain, I see the timing chain moving with it. This thing's got 64,000 miles. If this thing has a timing problem, it has been it's probably the original oil in the engine, you know. It's got to be seriously neglected for it to have failed this early. So I don't necessarily think I have anything wrong, like a valve kissing a piston or something like that. That's what is locking it up. I think I've got something that is overheated, and the pistons and cylinders are probably going to be toast. Maybe the connecting rods, hopefully not the crank, but we'll see. I'm going to try and peek inside a couple of cylinders here. I don't know if I'll be able to show you guys on my little cheap Borescope, but I'll try and look inside number 4 up here. They changed the way they numbered these things. On the AJ133, if you guys followed the 5-liter rebuild, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's basically like you'd expect a LS or small block Chevy to be, except reverse because it's a British engine. On these, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know why they did that because these are basically the same engine, but they just wanted to make things complicated, I guess. So I'll see if I can peek inside number 4 and maybe inside number 1 over here if they're fairly easy to get to, and just see if there's a whole lot of scoring, any piston damage, anything melted or anything with holes in it or anything like that obvious. It's probably not going to be anything that I already know that I'm going to be going into it, but it'll just give me some more information to work with, because this thing is going to sit a while waiting on its chance to get in here and get worked on. We got a lot of other stuff to get caught up on first, but we'll see what we're looking at here real fast. So there's the number 1 plug. It does smell kind of hot. Go grab my scope real quick and see if there's anything worth seeing in here. So number 1's pretty close to the top here. I can't really see much of the wall or anything like that, but the piston itself looks okay. Nothing looks really strange to it. Number 4 looks about the same. I can see the cylinder wall a little bit more of it over here, and I don't see any really bad scoring or anything like that, so hopefully that means that we'll be able to bore it out. We're not going to have to put completely new liners in it. I think we can bore these things over to 1/2 mil if we need to, without having any issues. And that's kind of the route that I'd like to go, because that'll be cheaper. Less machine time, not having to buy the liners themselves. So here I just took the tension off the belts just to make sure everything was spinning, so it's not like I can't turn this thing because the water pump is seized up or something. That doesn't seem like it's the case. So it is definitely the block that's seized up. I think that's probably all I'm going to do for tonight. That was kind of what I wanted to figure out, was if this engine's actually seized, and it's definitely seized. So I don't want to try and turn it or anything until I'm going to get something productive out of it. So I think this thing's probably going to stay like this for a while. And then pretty soon we're going to be doing an AJ126 rebuild to follow up with the AJ133 rebuild that we did on the other LR4 the end of last year. So stay tuned, guys.